The battle for Cleveland in the soccer wars took a big step forward. Please welcome to the stage a team that has its name in the MLS NEXT Pro. We welcome Forest City Cleveland.
Clang the clanger! Clang the clanger! Clang it!
That clang is thoroughly clanked as we welcome in Forest City Cleveland in a public event. The brand and the name for Cleveland's MLS NEXT Pro was revealed.
Okay, so first response, my first instinct, I like it. I like it. I think there's a couple things at work here that I like. I like the font for Forest City, right? I like it's like kind of an old-fashioned, I'm a guy who loves that Detroit D. Like I've never really been a Detroit sports fan, but that Detroit D on the Tigers hat, that's one of the greatest things in American sports. I appreciate that. And this isn't quite that involved, but it's got that old school vibe to it. Now we have the tree, which I believe is a sycamore, and we'll get to the sycamore situation here in a second. I guess I don't know if there's an explanation around the angled or hill-like line, Rob. Like, is there something I'm missing in terms of the visual as to why it's not straight across? I like that though, right? I think it is kind of cool that it goes off like that. It says Cleveland on it. I don't know that's always necessary, but in this case, obviously you're selling a new team, sure. But I understand this viewpoint from Champ. I don't totally dislike it, but it looks like an apartment complex logo.
Hey, that's quite the take. I didn't think about that, but now I'll probably always think of that. It's like just driving by, like, oh, are those new apartments?
Yeah, it's a little bit. I think it's really hard in 2026. Right? I want to give some understanding to people whose job it is to create soccer club logos. You're never going to make everyone happy. Right? Nobody is going to come out of this going, oh, that's 100% a home run, or that's the worst thing I've ever seen. In this situation, it is passable to good compared relatively to other soccer logos in American soccer. But I understand why it doesn't. How do you create something that is A, unique, B, speaks to the game, right? Because I just mentioned, like, do we want something that looks really American? I don't even know what that is anymore. We definitely got rid of animals playing with soccer balls in logos. That used to be a thing. We got rid of flying soccer balls in general. That used to be a thing. And I'm okay with that because I thought that was garish and ridiculous. But in the same era where Adidas is dropping a collection around the 94 denim kit, it kind of feels like maybe we need to go back to some things that make it truly American. I don't know, Rob. I know it sounds like I'm sitting on a fence here. Again, I like it, but I understand why it kind of feels a little generic.
I don't think American soccer's totally given up on the soccer ball thing because there was a new amateur soccer team in the Detroit area that just launched, and it definitely has a soccer ball in it. So we haven't totally walked away from that. My only thing is I think it looks nice. I agree, but there's an awful lot of new teams with green, including our guests today is another green, but there are a lot of green teams coming out across the United States, but plenty of a brand explanation in this press release from MLS NEXT Pro. Forest City name is a nod to Cleveland's historic nickname. The canopy for what it's named about, and the city's first ever pro baseball team. Double hexagonal frame inspired by Art Deco geometry and historic architecture. Ohio in its foundation. The outline of the state fills the base of the crest. So I'm not sure if that's the line that you referenced earlier.
That's what that is. That's meant to look like Ohio. I get it now. Okay. I don't know that you need to reference Ohio when you're just repping Cleveland. Like it doesn't have to be. But Cleveland is obviously the biggest city in Ohio, like the most important, quote unquote, historically city in Ohio. I guess there's that.
Is that the most handy badge explainer? You had a question and it was answered in the badge explainer. Also, the Moses Cleveland tree represents Cleveland at its core. And then there's the 12 leaves on the sycamore represents the players on the pitch and the Cleveland community, and roots on the shoreline honoring the waterways that define Northeast Ohio.
Okay, so there's some stuff in there that leaves a little too much explanation. Like, I don't know, 12 leaves. Who's counting the leaves, right? I guess if they can mean something and you can do that, well, there's 12 of them. It's 12 because it looks good, I guess. I will say the guy who did this, Alan Kocher, is a Cleveland native. Apparently, maybe even played some soccer in Cleveland, if I have my stories right here, and then ended up in Portland, where he was part of a design agency there, helped design the Timbers look, the modern Timbers look with the axe and their chevron or whatever you want to call that. He lives in Richmond, Virginia now, and I see he's done the Richmond women's team, the Richmond Kickers women's team called Richmond Ivy, which has very similar vibes to this. So it's not a big leap from Richmond Ivy to what this is. Again, I think in an era when it's really hard to please everybody, this is about as good as you're going to get, Rob. Like I don't know that we should be too picky about this, even though again, I understand why somebody would say, "Oh, this is what corporate America pumps out whenever they're like trying to sell somebody on like a mixed use development or something." And I get that Forest City's not a name most people associate with Cleveland now, but I really have no problem with going back to the history of the city to pull something forward. I actually think that a lot more clubs should do stuff like that. Like, it's disappointing to me that we've got a team in a place like San Antonio, Texas, and they're just San Antonio FC. That's boring. Like, what are you talking about? Toronto, there's so much history in Toronto, and you're just going to be Toronto FC. I mean, again, every new team, San Diego FC. I mean, what are we doing here? You could name your team so many amazing things, and you choose that. And I understand there's brand awareness is maybe the key part for those teams, but maybe being an MLS Next Pro gives a team like this Cleveland outfit an opportunity to be a little less on the nose because they're not trying to sell out a 25,000 seat stadium. They are trying to sell tickets to a stadium. And I guess we have updates on what's going on with the soccer war in Cleveland, right, Rob?
Yes, we do. Before we go to that, there is a non-member comment on the side that brings up an interesting conversation that we're going to talk about next. Is MLS Pro might actually have a less stable future than USL, and we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But within this soccer war here in Cleveland, the MLS Next Pro side has obviously made this step forward, but the other side of the soccer battle, USL Cleveland, maybe takes a step back in their journey to try to win the battle for soccer in Cleveland.
Yeah, this story coming to us from clevelandmagazine.com, where I saw it this morning. USL Cleveland State Soccer Stadium proposal stalls. Now, so city documents show Cleveland State's proposed $100 million stadium. This is where the stadium for the USL team was supposed to be, Cleveland State University. And $250 million of mixed-use project stalled amid lack of support from Mayor Justin Bibb's administration. So the mayor has backed away from the USL project. I believe the MLS Next Pro project still continuing on. There's some interesting things in this story, but I'll read you the lead here that I have on the screen. A proposal by Cleveland State University, the United Soccer League, and local backers to build a $100 million soccer stadium and $250 million in supportive development where the Wolstein Center arena now sits appears to be at best on hold. Its emergence may have served only to delay and dramatically increase the construction costs of a competing soccer stadium. And we presume that to be the MLS Next Pro Stadium, which is not too far away, but not on the Cleveland State University campus. And its apparent retreat is due to the lack of, quote, a collaborative partnership-driven approach, unquote, with Mayor Justin Bibb and his administration, according to a city document secured by Neotrans, which I believe is the original outlet that published this piece. So this seems to be very much directly a part of the soccer wars. USL came to town. They maybe got somebody to back the idea of putting a USL team there. MLS also did that with MLS Next Pro project. Both groups wanted to build stadiums. And now it seems as though MLS Next Pro, at least for now, is winning this war. Now, this is also tied to what we told you about with Toledo. Remember, Toledo was looking for money, Rob? Their USL League One group was looking for money to build the stadium for professional soccer in Toledo. Remember the money that was supposedly available for development of these recreational things, stadium constructions. The Browns got $600 million earmarked for their stadium from the state of Ohio. The Cavaliers, Guardians, and Cleveland Soccer Group, which is the MLS Next Pro Group, are collectively seeking $125 million in Ohio Cultural and Sports Facility Performance grants from the Ohio and Cultural Facilities Fund, Sports and Cultural Facilities Fund, that was created by the Ohio General Assembly last year. CSG, the MLS Next Pro Group, is requesting $19.9 million for a nearly $80 million 10,000-seat soccer stadium on 13.6 acres of land on East 9th Street, south of Interstate 90. So this is currently owned by the Ohio Department of Transportation. We talked about this when we kind of outlined what the stadium plans look like in Cleveland. Conspicuous by its absence from the list of state funding applicants was the CSU USL Stadium proposal. After publishing a March 3rd article, Neotrans received a response from CSU to an earlier inquiry as to why it did not submit an application for a state grant. Quote, Cleveland State University is currently in the process of engaging a real estate development consultant to make recommendations about the future of our campus facilities. We are refraining from making major changes that impact campus facilities until we complete and review the selection process and begin working with a consultant. That, even if they decide to still do soccer, that kicks the can way down the road. And again, if they're not looking for this money, and that money may be very important in subsidizing the construction of a soccer stadium for USL in Cleveland, this may be all but dead in terms of USL in the city of Cleveland, Rob.
Interesting progression in the battle for Cleveland in the American soccer wars. Just a couple quick notes before we move on. There is also going to be connected to the MLS Next Pro, I think it's called Cleveland Soccer Group. They are planning to launch a women's team on May 4th, and that is set to be in the WPSL.
And they just said specifically they wanted to split the branding and split the announcements, not to have the two overshadow or steal spotlight. So the men's team now for a city. We'll find out about the women's team. One more note about this stadium funding thing and the Ohio State funds that these groups are maybe looking to secure and applying for. The funding is not assured. A Franklin County Court of Common Pleas magistrate yesterday. So this story is, I believe, from yesterday. So it would be 2 days ago now. The Franklin County magistrate has issued a preliminary injunction against the state's proposed use of unclaimed funds for stadiums while a pending lawsuit is heard on the constitutionality of the funding mechanism. So, again, nothing is easy when it comes to how funds are allocated. And again, Toledo wants some money. I'm sure some other soccer teams in the state, other projects. We looked at that list of, I think there was a parkour. What do you call that? Like facility? Like I know skate park. Do you call it a parkour park? That seems weird.
Yeah, a parkour park. Yeah, it really rolls off the tongue there, doesn't it?